Hi, I am Ambi Parameswaran, host of the show Be Positive on etbrandequity.com. Welcome for yet another episode of this series where we talk to high achieving young CMOs from diverse sectors, diverse industries, interestingly, from diverse cities as well. So, this show is about tracing their career, the successes they've had, the challenges they've faced, and how they overcame all these challenges to rise to the top of their organization. So today we have a young achieving CMO, Sunder Madakshira, the CMO of Adobe. Hi, Sundar. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, hi Ambi. Thanks for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure. Personally, it's been a fanboy moment for me, Ambi, to be speaking with you. After having virtually grown up in the marketing industry in India, listening to all the lovely anecdotes about from your clients about the lovely work that you did for them, as well as devouring on all the 6 books that you've written. So,
Thank you.
and
Thank you, Sundar.
thank
This
you for
show
having me
is
here.
sorry. This show is not about me. It's about you. Okay. So don't turn the table on me. Uh, okay. So Sundar, from what I understand, you had a fabulous, career journey starting in FMCG marketing and then went into tech marketing. And then now you're in one of the most hottest uh, software tech companies in the world, Adobe, which anyone who's in marketing and marketing communication cannot live without. I mean, the Photoshop and all that stuff which you guys have done to make our life easier or difficult, I don't know, but but we can't live without Adobe. And I'm sure we will learn a lot by talking to you about your career journey and how you stayed positive and uh, rose in the marketing organizations you work. So this show is about being positive. The show is about irrespective of whatever challenges the world throws at you, to stay positive. Before we get into your career, Sundar, we'd like to get the viewers get a flavor of your where you grew up, your childhood, your school. Was it all in Bangalore? Was it in uh, Karnataka? Where was it?
Ambi, I come from a family of 4. My father was an Indian Air Force officer. He's a retired wing commander, and my mother was a housewife. And myself and my younger brother, the 2 kids in the family. So my father, being in the Air Force, we have traveled the length and breadth of this country. I can safely say that we probably visited every state in India, and it was a fabulous journey for a brother and me, because I think we got an opportunity to learn from virtually every state, learning the language, or let me put it, trying to learn the language, understanding the culture, understanding the music, which I'm very very passionate about, and being with people of all types, and just learning and absorbing the country. I think somewhere there, that's when I think the pride about the country, and coming from a family which where the father was in the Air Force, that thing about nationalism and patriotism was very very natural. Grown up on a lot of stories about wars that India has fought and won, and all the stories of bravery. So when you say, yeah, are you from Bangalore and Karnataka? One state that we probably spent fairly less time was Karnataka and Bangalore. But after I finished my schooling, which was largely in the Kendriya Vidyalayas all over the country.
Okay.
So that was a fantastic experience. Delhi was all but the Bal Bharati Air Force School on Lodi Road. That was the only non-KV that I've studied till in my schooling. After that, of course, engineering happened, and that's when Bangalore happened to us. So even after that, I've got opportunities to travel outside and work outside Bangalore. So that's a little bit about how it
But
was.
your name, Madakshira, is what? Is a
Yeah,
Kannada name? Is it a
yeah. It's a
yeah?
small town, which it's a family name now, but it's also a small town on the border between Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh.
Oh, nice.
It's a small town, and that's the ancestral home that we had at one time. And from then on, of course, many generations we've been in Bangalore. I think for me, childhood, when you talked about childhood, one is, of course, Kendriya Vidyalaya, which I'm very, very proud to be part of, along with probably millions and billions of children, I don't know, over the years. I think the other thing that comes to my mind are trains, because we spent a lot of time on trains moving from one place to the other. So if you ask my brother and me, what are the best memories I have of childhood, it is probably my grandfather's house in Bangalore, and being on trains. And so we used to treat trains as human beings. We thought trains were human beings. And
How, how was that? This is very interesting. Tell me.
yeah, trains, we always thought the engine was the head of the family, the patriarch or the matriarch. So if it was a steam engine, it was a matriarch. It was a diesel engine, it would be a patriarch. And then all these were imaginations. Today I wonder why we thought like that. And all the bogies were all the other members of the family.
Nice.
And we would follow our father wherever he went. Probably that was the analogy which was there. And it was great fun being in traveling by trains all over India. Yeah.
So how come you went to engineering? How come you did not go into the armed forces or the air force? What happened? Normally, I know either you or your brother must have been prodded by your father, right?
Yeah, actually, his opinion was that if somebody were to join the Indian Air Force, he should join as a pilot. And then it was my mother said that no, there's no way her children would join the Air Force as pilots. So if you drew the Venn diagram between the two opinions, it was a null set between the two. And I think it was my parents got married when they were very young. And from then they've seen a lot of deaths happening because of air crashes. I think we had a unusually high percentage of crashes in our lives, which we have seen very, very close family dying. And, so I think that had a fairly deep emotional impact. But it is, once you're a defense kid, Ambi, you're always a defense kid that never goes out of you. So it was fantastic to be there. Yeah, he did prod us, but only as if you were prepared to be, engineers. Only if you were prepared to be pilots. Engineering happened because I think there was a natural flair I had for systems and calculation and analytics and so on. So I joined the industrial engineering course. There was a book,
at RV Engineering, yeah, right.
RV College of Engineering, yeah. At those days, and continues to be one of the best engineering colleges. I'm fortunate that at that time we came back to Bangalore and I joined RV College of Engineering, and I graduated in the industrial and production engineering. Now, to me, I think what was important is about the logic behind everything, and there's a system of analysis that the engineering course brought me. Also, I think industrial engineering focused a lot on improving the efficiency of any system. So those were some things that always stood by me. And I was then fortunate to work in one of the best engineering companies in the world, Caterpillar, where I started my...
Oh, you worked with Caterpillar. Okay.
That's right.
Did you get to visit their headquarters? That's at Des Moines, right? In Illinois.
Illinois, correct. It's in Illinois. I had an opportunity to visit almost 4 or 5 times. It was a fantastic experience because I think my wow moment was that all these small engineering gadgets that we saw in textbooks were now blown up to be 5 times my height. That's how big these engines were. So every part of that engine which we had drawn and almost missed, because we didn't think it was important, were now gigantic structures. So
especially Caterpillar makes those huge excavators and all kinds of equipment. Yes. And it's a legendary company, right? I mean, including a lot of lessons in terms of branding as well, right? The yellow color, the branding of cat, and how they also have a lot of products, right? Shoes and jackets and all that kind of stuff under the cat. How long was the Caterpillar experience?
It's for about 5 years. I spent a couple of years abroad and here, the balance in setting up a new plant for Caterpillar in India. But I think I also, as you rightly mentioned, I think the power of the brand, right? It is a diesel engine manufacturing company. Everybody knows it that way. But the brand extensions that they did, Ambi, was very interesting. Everybody wanted a piece of Caterpillar at home. But for that, you can't really buy a bulldozer and keep it at home. That was one of the products that they made, or a submarine for that matter. So what they did come up with was a complementary chain of products, small things like jackets and uh, shoes. Caterpillar shoes are very popular in the United States and other parts. So to me, it the whole journey into marketing actually started in Caterpillar when I was questioning why would they want to do something like this. And they finally I got an opportunity to visit their branded house in branded shop in Illinois, and one in Boston. And that's when I really understood what the power of branding and what it can actually bring to the table.
It's an amazing story, right? I mean, you're a earth moving equipment, you're a harvester manufacturing company, and then you take that brand and put it onto shoes, put it onto jackets, put it onto caps, and suddenly you've made the brand so much more human than what it would have been otherwise. So it's a legendary brand, and I think so. This was what, 5 years at Cat,
Yes, at Caterpillar, yes, that's right.
and then what happened? The MBA bug bit you.
Yeah, so I thought, I needed a formal education in marketing. Just by learning and observation, that wouldn't really be what, will give me the complete understanding. I understood there's a lot more than just, great creatives, and there needs to be a strategy behind it. And for me to understand that, I have to do an MBA. So I joined the TAPI Management Institute in Manipal. It's popularly known as TAPMI.
Yeah, it's a very good school. Yeah, I know it's a very good school. I've never had the occasion to visit that school, but yeah, I heard it's a very good school. So
Right.
that was 2 years in Manipal.
That's right. That's right. And summer project happened in Hindustan Levers at that time, and I think I was very fortunate to have been to study along with many very talented friends of mine. I think everybody likes to believe that he belonged to the best batch ever from that institute, and I don't have a comparison really, but I can say that going there was a very enriching experience for me. Had that not happened, Ambi, today in retrospect, I think I would have missed a fairly vital limb, in my journey.
But knowing you, chances are from Cat you would have gone to some place good, right? It would have anyway happened to you because you were fascinated about branding and marketing, so you would have gone somewhere. So obviously TAPI played a very important role. So any memories from the institute? Any mentors you remember? Any professors you remember? Any problems you faced?
Yeah, one challenge I faced when I joined was that I was significantly older than my batchmate.
I was wondering, you're 5 years older than the average class, right?
Absolutely, 5 years, at least 3 years, because some people did have some experience. The average experience level was about 1.5 to 2 years, I think. So from that perspective, and I was an engineer, so it is 4 years of education, then 5 years. Unlike some people who had completed 3 years of education and were there. So that was really difficult. And, I had got used to the shop floor. I loved being on the shop floor as an industrial engineer. Spent a lot of time on the shop floor. So walking the length and breadth of that, looking at these beautiful engines as well as the manufacturing process. So I lost the habit of sitting in one place. When we talk about this 10,000 step challenge, and in those days, I think it was 10,000 in the first 2 hours challenge. That's what it would have been more apt. So that was the biggest challenge, sitting in one place and absorbing what is going on in a class.
Just to hold it. Sunder, just for the viewers to understand, engineering manufacturing companies, plants are huge, are so huge that they are probably 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers long. So if Sundar starts, walking up and down the Caterpillar plant, he'd have spend 2 hours, just going from one end of the plant to the other end of the plant. So I can well imagine, if you're walking up and down, people don't understand, unfortunately, we don't understand the size and scale of some of these engineering companies. Like I spent a lot of time working on the Tata Motors business, and we used to spend a lot of time in the K block. When you say K block, you think it's one block, but no, it's probably 2 kilometers long, because the dice come on one end and the car rolls out at the other end. So many things happen on the production line. So it looks like it's not one block. It's like, block is a misnomer. It's a huge plant. I can imagine, Caterpillar plant either in Bangalore, outside Bangalore, or in Illinois would have been huge. So you had to go to a business school, sit in one seat for many hours together, read boring case studies, and pass comments. How was it?
Yeah, it was very interesting. I think the way I looked at most case studies, and some of the other students who were probably more experienced from an organization perspective, I think we found it, we had a different perspective. There was no doubt about that. But I think I must say that, Ambi, I think it was really my batchmates who made me feel very comfortable. And there were certain subjects that I wasn't particularly good at. Financial management was one of them. And, that's why I married a chartered accountant. So now they made me feel very comfortable with those courses, especially. And slowly, I think, I think my director at that time said something very nice. I said, look, after 2 years, they will become a little like you and you will become a little like them. So I think it was fantastic. And the quality of faculty that we had, very inspiring. I think today when I look at the topic of marketing, Caterpillar did teach me a lot. And of course, there was the experience that was there in the field. But I think the faculty made a very big difference in terms of inspiring us. A lot of people who told us great stories about great brands. So somewhere there, I think the worm or the bug of branding was sown at that point in time.
Any professor? Okay, before that, you were 5 years older than the others. So, in our batch, these guys and I went straight from, engineering to MBA. So there were these older guys, and you end up, at least in every batch, one guy is called Mama because he's significantly older. I think. So were you ever called a Mama? You look so young. You must have looked very young even then. So just as an aside.
Yeah, no, there was one person who was called Dadu and one person called Nanu. I don't know, somehow I got spared. I don't know, they just probably forgot that was the case, but I was not called that. But yeah, there was that initially, at least the first 3 to 6 months, there was that gap. Not 6 months, I would say the first 3 months, there was that, there was like a distance between me and some of the others. But I think it just panned out very well after that. After that, everybody really forgot where they came from. There were new identities which were created about, for example, groups that enjoyed marketing, for instance, groups that enjoyed a particular subject, and so on. And of course, the course itself brings you closer to a very heterogeneous set of people. Something, which is again, I think, a reflection of my Kendriya Vidyalaya class, where people
you could get along with different types of people because you probably lived in 20 different cities in your life, right? So makes a big difference. So tap me, then I think what? HUL happened, right? That was like a dream job.
Absolutely. I did my summer project with them, and that's when I got selected to work with them later. Fantastic experience. I was the brand manager for Close Up, managed the brand, and then I worked in the beverages division of Hindustan Levers in South India. And both were fantastic experiences for me. I think when you prepared with that, it was Philip Kotler in action, in full bloom. So from when I moved from Tap Me to that place, it was a lot of frameworks, a lot of clarity on what we need to do in marketing and branding. Definitely, one floor you had 40 brands and 40 brand managers, which was, I think, a great learning experience for me.
So you were groomed to fill that brand key for your brand and agonize over every word you write in the brand key, right?
Yes, it was tough. Even today, when I think of the brand key, and I do it every time. In fact, I teach brand key in my classes. I say that if somebody can do that, right, then he's really understood the brand, and he's really understood how important filling up that key is. It was not easy. And my mentor once actually walked me through this. As you probably know, Shiv Kumar was my mentor during those days, and
Wow.
even now he continues to be guiding me a lot on my career. And he and I we spent an entire day, 8 o'clock to around 6 o'clock in the evening on a Saturday, filling up the brand key for one of the brands, as a case study, really for me to understand. It was an entire day. I still remember that.
Did you finally nail it by the end of the day?
Yes, we did. We did.
That's very good. That's very good. I've gone through client experiences, some of them pretty weird, where you spend a month, discussing the brand key. And I tell them, put something there, yeah. Let's get on with work.
Yeah.
Every second meeting, brand key, arey yaar, kuch to karo. But I'm obviously Shiv is a veteran and she was a good friend. And I think Shiv must have guided you. Left to Shiv, you would have filled the brand key in probably 1 hour.
Absolutely. So actually, Ambi, to be honest, I think he took the entire day with me only to teach me how it is being done. He had it clear in his mind long before, and he could have probably filled it, as you rightly said, in even 10 minutes, because he was dealing with that brand very directly also. So I think it was a great experience, talking about creatives, talking about advertising, talking about sales strategies, talking about sales promotions, and
How many years did you spend in Levers?
it's 3 years. I spent 3 years, and then.
And then what happened? I suddenly noticed that you jumped from Unilever to the tech space, and you joined, I think, Wipro?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Wipro, actually, I joined Wipro Corporate, not Wipro Technologies. And the real
Is that headquarters where Mr. Premji sits? No, what is that place called?
Sarjapur Road.
Sarjapur Road. Yes, I've been to that office. I don't know how many times.
Okay.
To work on the Wipro Consumer Care.
Consumer Care, right?
And they have their office in the same complex, right? And I've been to that floor as well, where Mr. Premji and the others sit. Yeah.
That's right.
So how did that happen? How come you jumped from HUL to Wipro Corporate? Who managed to woo you or con you?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Actually, what I saw was that I'd learned a lot in Levers, both from a sales perspective and marketing perspective. And now the opportunity that I'm looking for is, how do I manage a corporate brand? Which is probably something that, Levers wouldn't have given me. There's no sense of a corporate brand at that time. It was HLL, and that's about it. HLL as a corporate brand would also not be on many brands like the way they're doing it now, which is Unilever. So corporate branding was very, very enticing to me, because that was an opportunity I wouldn't get within. That was probably the only branding opportunity that Unilever wouldn't provide at that time. And also, I was looking for an exposure into topics like public relations, as well as things like we would be about things like corporate purpose, or what we call as CSR, is something that I was not exposed to. These were two areas which I was looking for to learn. And Wipro Corporate Brand was looking for a Wipro Corporate Brand Manager, because they had just launched the Applying Thought logo.
So were you reporting to Vineet Agarwal or?
Yeah, Vineet had moved out of that position after the brand was launched, and that position was taken over by a person by name Anurag Behar, who headed that corporate functions, and brand was one of them. So we were the team which was brought in together to then roll out the whole program across many stakeholders. One interesting thing that happened in Wipro, which I had not actually thought it would come my way, was to recraft the organizational values or the brand values. We wanted to look at both of them together and not as separate ones, which we said we laid down a set of values for the company, but has time come to revisit and recraft them. So almost a year and a half of effort to talk to more than 2,000 stakeholders across the world in wherever Wipro was operating, and then arrive at a set of values that we could probably make it organizational values as well. So this was something that really came our way.
So Wipro is again a company which I was being associated with for many years, and I have a tremendous amount of respect and regard for the values which Wipro stands for. I used to work on Santur and Chandrika and a whole range of brands and Vineet continues to be a very good friend, but Vineet was a client, and I think they stand for amazing value. So you spent how many years in Wipro?
I spent 3 years in Wipro, and it was a very interesting journey. And there were, after that, a short stint at Infosys, and then I moved to Symphony Services. Those days it was called Symphony Services. Now I think it's called Herman as an organization. And then SAP happened. SAP was for 5 years. I was a vice president for marketing and communications. That was probably one of the a fantastic opportunity, because we launched the SAP HANA. It's a platform from India, and it was a wow moment for everybody in India, and of course across SAP world. This was the next big bet for SAP at that point in time. So very interesting journeys all
So,
across.
just to pull back, you started by working on products like, first of course you had the background of Caterpillar, and then you started working on toothpaste and say tea, and then you went into technology brands like Wipro, and then to SAP, which is ERP system, very complex. So the entire marketing communication tools and things we use will be very different, right? So how did you launch SAP HANA in India? Was there a big mega event, or how was it done?
Yeah, so you're right, Ambi. I mean, I hate using cliches, but at the peril of that, I would say that the more things change, the more things remain the same. And this question has come to me many times about how it's sort of evolved. To me, I think so. Back to the question on SAP HANA and the launch. It was launched at SAP TechEd, one of the events that we do in India. It's one of the largest technology conferences, I think, in Asia today. And we had that product launch there by our CTO at that time. And simultaneously, the announcement were made all over the globe. And we had a press conference and analyst meetings and so on and so forth, which followed. But I think, and there were, of course, launches planned in other countries as well. But the start was in India.
Oh, really? So HANA was launched. India was the first country in which it launched. Wow.
Yes, it
I
was.
didn't know. So I think young viewers may not even know what is SAP and what is ERP and what is HANA. But they will, if they join any company, they will be indoctrinated into, entering everything on the SAP system. Because SAP probably has a dominant market share in ERP in India, right?
That's right. That's right. So I think, so you're right. It was something, and that also goes to show the maturing of the Indian market to even absorb products like this. It was a recognition of the fact that India technology industry has grown, and we have skipped a few generations in between to leapfrog into the next generation of technology that is available. And it's also maturity of the business to understand not only the current tactical challenges that they have faced, but also build a real long-term kind of a roadmap for their success. So right product in the right market. And it was not just a launch, Ambi, which was interesting. It was also the way the Indian market absorbed new technology and how how quickly companies adopted to changing parameters.
So was there any challenges you faced when you were getting ready to market it in India? Was there people saying, no, it's going to be too expensive, license cost is too high, all those kind of usual problems you have with Indian customers?
What I've seen is in every industry, and you know this industry 10 times better than I do. The fact is that I think category leaders, right, always think very differently. Probably they are category leaders for that reason. And once the category leaders have understood the value proposition, it becomes relatively simpler for the other people in that industry to absorb whatever they want and whatever they've learned. And the company also, frankly, is more in that position to articulate the value proposition for that, for that particular product. So challenges, no. I think to my surprise and the surprise of few others, what we really found was that the Indian market was more than ready for it, and they had actually anticipated that something like this would come. So the what we heard from the biggies was that, yeah, we were expecting this to happen anytime. It was almost like, what took you so long, right? So not in so many words, but you could hear that they were ready. They were ready, and it rolled. And of course, it's grown from them across the globe, and very fulfilling.
So do you think, what kind of market share does SAP have in the Indian market? Is it a dominant 70% market share? Because it's between you and Oracle, right?
Yeah,
You SAP and Oracle, no?
I wouldn't know that, Ambi, right now. I really don't know how it is, but clearly it was a great organization to work with, and also from a marketing perspective, I think that's where what happened was that was the beginning of the digital marketing journey, where digital marketing as a serious channel emerged, matured, and B2B organizations started to look at it. So that was when organizations also started thinking very seriously about how they will invest and what will be the roadmap for marketing through the digital channels. And one question that we got started on, but we didn't complete the answer, probably was, in all these organizations that I've worked, one thing that at the end of the day, I think if there are 3 points that always stand out, is that that's common, absolutely common, is the fact that it is the customer experience which really matters at the end of the day. And I can give you loads of anecdotes about how it happened in different industry, but it's all about how you make the customer feel in all these things, in all these scenarios that I was there. Second thing was about the data-driven, opportunity, right? When you look at a successful company like a Unilever, and later on with SAP, and now with Adobe, I can safely say that extremely data driven, which provides that kind of an objectivity and so on. Third thing is about marketing agility in my current role, and this is an experience that I've had. Marketers, I think, sometimes take too much time to pivot, even when the writing on the wall is very clear. And you, of course, know the famous quote by Kotler, where he said that markets change faster than marketeers do. So, and it's one of the things that marketers always look for is agility. So when I go back, what is common in all those experiences in those opportunities where we were agile, and we woke up and actually understood our customers and consumers better and shifted to where our target audience is, I think we've always been successful.
So tell me, you said very rightly that digital marketing has come of age, and B2C was having fun in digital marketing. They're making these videos and having fun. And I know companies like SAP and of course Infosys and TCS, they've all used digital in a very interesting way. So tell us something which, maybe some content marketing stuff you did, or something which SAP could have did, which our viewers will be interested in knowing.
Yeah, there were a lot of things that happened during that period. One, as I said, was about educating, right? Education as a branding tool works very well in the technology sector. There are a lot of people who really want to know more. And if you are one of the first movers to educate them, then you will always be remembered for, you get the credit for educating them on what this is at a very fundamental level. So there was a lot of effort made to educate people about how they should make choices, right? So a lot of video, very, very interesting video content, a lot of great creatives that were made, and these masterclasses on ERP were created for people to absorb and understand at different levels, at the practitioners level, at the decision makers level, and of course at the CFO and the CIO and the CEO level or in organizations. So great work, again, panning across many campaigns that were driven on the launch of the product, as well as other topics as well. So I think, one can go on and on about what
So
all happened.
then from SAP, how come the move happened to Adobe? Was it?
Yeah, so I think one thing was that I was looking for was in between. I used to work with the product division of Infosys called Edgeworth. I was there as the CMO for a couple of years, little over a couple of years. And then, of course, Adobe happened. So what really excited me about Adobe was one was I think the values of the company, right? It was very, very clear to me, even in very initial discussions, that the company was grounded on some values. For example, about how it was marketed, how things were, how senior leaders in the company interacted with prospective employees, right? These were, I think, very, very evident when I started talking to them. There was a very nice, warm feel about the organization. And everything that you heard was very authentic. That's one of our values, organizational values.
Adobe is based where? Is it based in Silicon Valley or is it based in?
Yeah, it's headquartered in San Jose,
Okay.
and we have offices across the globe. In India, we are based in Noida and Bangalore, and we have offices in Gurgaon and Mumbai as well, the satellite offices.
What is your day job at Adobe?
So it's very clear it's about enhancing the brand for Adobe in India, as well as building the business pipeline for us to go close opportunities. So I handle a specific part of Adobe, which is called the digital experience product. So you mentioned about our creative suite, which is Photoshop and Premiere Pro, etc. I handle the business which is got to do with Adobe Experience Manager, Campaign, Target, Analytics, and Experience Platform, and so on. So that's the part of the business which actually helps our customers deliver the customer experience on the digital platform. Be able to analyze your campaign, design your campaign, analyze it, whether it's hitting the right audience, whether you're getting the necessary outcomes, have your website run on an intelligent platform, be able to collect data for you, and so on and so forth.
So you offer the full stack, which means analytic tools, the whole works, right? You have the equivalent of a Radian 6 and all those kind of things, right?
Yes, so it's the complete suite of the digital marketing end to end. That's what we say, that make every experience, make every business an experience business. That's exactly what I have learned in my life as well. That it's all about the experience which counts, and creating those magnificent digital experiences for our customers and in turn their consumers is Adobe's mission. So
there is this really hilarious video. I don't know whether it is running in India or not, about how suddenly there is an extra demand for some book, and then the Chinese factory, we need, so they start ordering more timber, etc., etc., etc. And then you realize it's really some baby who's sitting and clicking on this order button. And the question is, Adobe will help you understand whether the demand is real or whether the demand is fictitious. So
absolutely. So I think, Ambi, I think the importance of judgment in marketing will always be there. The marketer still has to think. I don't think that's unfortunately not something that you can outsource. But today, what you need definitely is, on what basis do you make decisions? On what basis do you make shifts? And these have to be grounded on some kind of realities, right? But today, if you go back and sort of look at what happened 25 years back, there was a very, very systematic way of collecting data on a constant basis through, purchase basket analysis, market researches, habits and attitude studies that you would do, and so on and so forth. All of them were there. But today, if people are on the digital medium, whichever medium might be, now you need to have a substitute for in which you are actually trying and analyzing where your customers are, and then you have to be present on those platforms. To be able to do that effectively, I think you need tools. The scale of organizations has increased. The number of channels has increased today. And you need to be able to make a consolidated, take a view or in a consolidated manner, and then, make a decision. That's what we are all required to do. And unfortunately, you don't have the time. The cost of media today is higher than ever before, at the least efficacy, if I may say. If that's the case, then you need to be able to pivot. If you're on the wrong track, you just can't go on doing it. Continue on the wrong track forever. You need to have, today, thanks to the digital medium, you're able to substitute whatever you want.
Yeah, and I think
On a better
the whole
campaign.
digital medium is about experimenting, running multiple campaigns, and finding out which campaign is delivering what, etc., etc., which is what your suite of products will help customer get to grip of. So coming to the last, just about 2 more minutes, and then we'll be off. But right through your career, any mentors you remember? And you mentioned Shiv. Are there any other mentors you go back to when you are stuck, when you have a block? So anything you want to tell us?
Yeah, sure. So Shiv has been a great mentor. I also look upon Malavika Harita, who used to head Sachi and Sachi, whom I'm sure you know, and many of the viewers would be very, very familiar. She was my teacher. I started off her as a student in Tapni.
Oh, okay. I
I
know her. Yeah.
would always look upon her as my mentor and run a lot of ideas, run a lot of things by her. And that's what also inspired me and me to teach marketing. So 1 year after I graduated from Tapni, I've been teaching. It's been almost.
Yeah, Sundar, it's great. So I should share this little bit about my own self. I was inspired to get into teaching by Subrato Sengupta.
Wow. Okay.
He used to teach us at IIM Cal. He also used to teach in IIM Ahmedabad. And I remember my good friend KBS Anand of Asian Paints telling me that is the only course he remembers that he learned in IIM Cal. So, that gave me the idea that I should also spend time teaching. And I'm good to know that, Malvika has inspired you to get into teaching. And I think may more and more young people like you, get in and fill the shoes of us guys who are now antediluvian or Jurassic or whatever. So great to know. So Shiv, Malvika, anyone else you want to do a hat tip?
Yeah, actually, there's one person whom we all know, but not from the field of business, who's again inspired me a lot. I think it is the great singer MS Subbulakshmi. Again, thanks to my stint in Chennai, I was virtually her neighbor in that place.
Oh, lovely.
Had many opportunities to meet her. And, when I met her, she had actually stopped singing. She was pretty old and had stopped singing. But just being with her for, hours together was so great. Just looking at her demeanor, the ability and the passion that she had for music, even at that age, even after she was a Bharat Ratna, she was so humble. I think that kept me very grounded on learning. She was so hungry for learning. Anybody would come and, ask her to teach them a song. She would in she would turn back and say, why don't you also teach me a song? And she was very genuine about it. It was not just meant to be a smart remark or anything like that. And I just have one anecdote, and I'll probably close with that, is that once I went to visit her, it was in the afternoon, and she was sitting and, she was copying something from one book to the other. So I said, what are you doing? So she said, no, these are my basic notes, which my mother had written for me. And I feel that this notebook has become too old, and I have to keep it, safe. So I have to copy it into another notebook so that if something happens to this book, the other book will be there. And she was 84, and
Wow.
Recipient of every award that the world of music had known. And for her to be learning at that stage with such basics there, and I think it was a huge learning experience. I remember that day, Ambi. So anytime I feel, even for a moment when I feel I know it all, or I know this really well, I just remember that day and say, you got a very, very long way to go.
That's a awesome story to end our conversation, because I'm also a Carnatic music fan, and I'm a big fan of MS Subbulakshmi, and she is as close to divinity as you can get in music, and richly deserves every single award she's got. So, any last advice to the viewers, Sundar?
I think I'm no one to give an advice to anybody, but if I can share one thing that I've learned in my career in marketing, is that never lose an opportunity to interact with a customer at any stage. We can talk about market research till tomorrow morning, but I think there's no substitute to you going out there in the market. Whether it is selling tea, I think going from tea shop to tea shop, doing 40 calls a day has taught me more about the tea business than all the rims and that were written on the tea business. And today as well, I thoroughly enjoy interacting with at least one CMO every day because they're all our customers. And just looking at the fabulous ambition and roadmap that they have for their products, I'm truly in awe. So I think there is no substitute to talking to the customer and understanding from him and or her directly. So that's the only piece of advice within quotes I would like to share.
Thank you. No, I think it's a kind of a constant refrain we're getting from all the high achieving CMOs you've been talking to, that you can't be a marketing expert if you don't spend enough time with the customer, whether it is a CMO in your case or whether it is a tea shop, owner in the case of tea. So let me, Sundar, thank you very much for joining us on this show. And it was great talking to you, your journey from being a Air Force kid to Kendriya Vidyalaya across 20 different cities to engineering, and then the great story about your walking up and down the Caterpillar plant to your, MBA at TAPME, and then a great career spanning, HUL, my favorite company, Wipro, Infosys, and then of course SAP, and then now Adobe. So Sundar, once again, thank you for joining us. And to the viewers, hi, I am Ambi Parameswaran signing off. This is you're watching the Be Positive show on etbrandequity.com. So thank you very much for watching and have a great week ahead.